There are a lot of paradigm shifts that are occurring in our profession. For years, we've measured ourselves in terms of outputs. If you were to go to a Christian elementary or secondary school, for example, and if you were to ask them about themselves, they would want to share with you how successful they've been. And so they measure success in some very interesting terms. We measure success in the grade point average of a student that graduates from that particular institution. We measure success in terms of the universities and the other further education opportunities that they might pursue, and the prestigious nature of those. And the more prestigious, obviously, the greater the job that you're doing. If they're accepted by Harvard, that's one thing. If they're accepted by a local community college, obviously that's quite another. And so we tend to measure things in terms of the immediate impact that it has upon a student who literally graduates from those institutions. And we don't take necessarily any thought or give any thought to what we want those individuals to look like 10 years from now. We have a couple of charitable partners, foundations, who are anxious to support organizations like many of the organizations undoubtedly that might be watching us today. And they have a practice which I think is very, very interesting. Let me assume that I'm the president of a college, and I want this particular foundation to make a grant on our behalf. Well, the traditional approach is that I would approach the foundation, I'd submit some kind of a proposal, and they would act upon the proposal to determine whether or not we were eligible to receive that generous gift. Well, today it's a little bit different. Foundations are taking a whole new outlook on it. What the foundation might say to me is this: well, we would be very interested in wanting to support your organization. We hear wonderful things about you. And so I'm encouraged, I'm sitting on the other side of the table saying, wow, this is really good. I think we're going to get somewhere on this one. And so I respond to that remark by saying something to the effect that, well, what do I need to do? How do we present ourselves to you so that you can evaluate what it is that we're asking for and consider participating financially with us? And I said, well, we really only need, or the fellow on the other side of the table says, the only really thing that we need from you is a list of the graduates of your institution in 2004. And we'd like their addresses, and we'd like their contact information. We'd like the addresses and the names of their parents as well, to the degree that you might be able to provide that. And the other thing that we want is a copy of your mission statement. And I'm looking on the other side saying, is that all that you want? Well, that's where we're going to begin. And so, dutifully, I respond to their appeals by pulling together, a list of names of all of our graduates that have graduated 10 years ago, and the names of their parents, and I give them a copy of the mission statement. Now, what that foundation will typically do is they'll look at that data, and they'll first of all look at your mission statement, because mission statements, interestingly enough, are a series of clauses that are separated by commas. In other words, we do these four things, and we talk about we exist to, and then there's something that we exist to do, and then a comma, and then something else that we exist to do, and a comma, and so forth. And so they extrapolate from that mission statement what we think, or what they think, a graduate of your institution should look like 10 years from now, if in fact all of those mission statements were realized in the context of their lives. And so they extrapolate what it is they think results should look like. They create some surveys. They present the surveys to graduates of 10 years ago and to their parents, and they collect the data. And what they're looking at is not outputs, because many of these people all had the same grade point averages. They all went to the same prestigious institutions. They all had similar career tracks that took them into various places. But the mission of the organization, if in fact it was a Christian organization, was that what happened in the educational experience that they experienced was going to change not only their ability to be successful in terms of their career, but to be successful in terms of their Christian life. And what does that look like? Well, as they began to do that, more often than not, they discovered that the mission differences between a student that graduated from their institution versus another one that may be from a totally secular organization that had no Christian values whatsoever, that the difference between graduates 10 years later was not much different. And so now they're evaluating whether they should invest in you on the basis of your success or not, and more often than not, it's not.